Hello, my name is Larry Manno, and I'm going to take you through a training today on how to enter course and program information into Watermark for assessment. So this is being recorded, which means you can access it anytime and view it at your own pace. So I want to start by referring you to the Assessment Committee's website. This can be accessed from your Triton's portal page. And on our website, we do have other important information such as our updated processes. There is a short video presentation about the updated processes as well as our new handbook. And I encourage you to go through and look at this information because you'll need to know important due dates while working on assessments. And so to access Watermark, you're just going to go ahead and click sign into your account. And once you get into Watermark, you're going to see planning and self-study. And this is what you want to click on and where all the assessment information is going to be entered. So I'm going to get into my page, which may look a little bit different than your page. But the first thing I want to do before we actually start by talking about entering course and program assessments is to talk about outcomes. So I'm just going to go into chemistry as an example because that's what I teach. And if you go into chemistry, all of our 7 courses are going to appear. And so for each of these courses, what you'll want to make sure that you do is have outcomes that you're going to be assessing. And so if I go ahead and click on course information, for my Chemistry 100 course, all of the course outcomes appear. So what we recommend is that every course should have between maybe 4 to 6 outcomes, and that's going to differ from course to course. For chemistry, we do about 4 to 6. And so these are the outcomes that will be assessed for each of the courses. And so if you haven't done this yet and you need to add an outcome, what you would do is click on Manage Outcome, and then you can go ahead and create a new outcome. And so I'm referring to my outcomes as course level outcome or CLO, and I list them as 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So you can go ahead and list your course level outcome, and then just a brief description of the outcome can be listed over there. So before you begin to work on your assessment information, you have to have those outcomes entered into Watermark. And so what we'll go ahead and do now is talk about how to enter plans at the course level. And this is going to be very similar if you were to be entering plans at the program level as well. So if we go ahead and look under chemistry, for the 2024-2025 year, we'll be assessing 2 chemistry courses. We'll be assessing General Chemistry 1 and General Chemistry 2. I have the other 2 courses up here, Chem 100 and Chem 110, just to use as references for our training today. So what you'll do is you'll click on the course that you're going to be assessing. And first thing you need to do is select the outcomes that will be assessed for the course. So for Chem 110, we have a total of 5 outcomes. And so you may want to assess all the outcomes for the course. Sometimes if you're doing a certain plan, it might not require you to do so. If you want to focus on something specifically, you might want to be focusing on maybe 2 or 3 of the outcomes. So what I'll go ahead and do is, just for the training purposes, let's just click on course level outcome 3. And so I'm going to go ahead and apply the selection. And so this over here sets me up to add my information. And the first thing we want to do is create an assessment plan. And so if you do look at the assessment processes, assessment plans are due October 1st of every academic year. So what we would go ahead and do is create a new measure for course level outcome 3. We'd select the measure. So you can do an assignment, you can do an exam, you could do a portfolio, a quiz, whatever you're going to be using as your assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and just select exam as my assessment tool, and I'll go ahead and enter the measure. So let's just say I'm looking at course level outcome 3, and this is going to be due to naming. So I'm just going to go ahead and say naming exam. I'm just giving it a general title. And so what we'll want to do is go ahead and define a target. So the benchmark is important because this is how we determine whether or not our outcome is going to be met. So for chemistry, what we generally say is that 80% of students taking the assessments will receive a score of 80% or better. And so this is the benchmark that we generally use for our chemistry courses. And then I can go ahead and write a brief description of the assessment. So what I can say is that, for example, students will be assessed on how to classify and name ionic and covalent compounds. So again, this is just a general description of the mock assessment that I'm putting up here. And then if you want to attach any files over here, that would be sort of what your assessment tool would be. So you would plan by October 1st, and then you would submit your assessment tool by October 31st. So what would happen is the faculty in the department would meet, would come up with an assessment tool, and then attach it over here. So then once we go ahead and add it, we have our assessment tool up over here. And so then what you'll want to do is carry out the assessment, and you'll want to go ahead and add the results. And so assessment reports are going to be due March 15th of every year. And so after you go ahead and carry out the assessment, you can go ahead and report your data directly into Watermark. So there's different venues that you can report your data. So the first one says that you want to send emails from and collect scores from faculty. So if this option is set up, all of the different courses and faculty teaching that course would have to be uploaded in the Blackboard. So when you're actually going ahead and creating your assessment plan, you would have to designate the fact that you'd like to do that. And then what would happen is each faculty would actually send their results, and it would be recorded here. So you can directly upload assessment result files. What I generally do in chemistry is I serve as the assessment liaison, and I create the assessment tool and meet with the faculty, and they submit all of their data to me. And then I can go ahead and directly input into this the amount of students that have exceeded, met, approached, or not met the outcome. So again, our benchmark was 80% of students would receive a score of 80% or better. So let's just say that 20 students took the assessment, and let's just say that maybe 5 scored a 90 or above. They've exceeded that expectation. Let's say that some of them approached the 80% benchmark, and let's just say that we have 12 of them that did that, so they would have met the assessments. And let's say people scored around the 75, so they were close, but they didn't quite achieve it. We could say that maybe 3 people did that, and then that would get us up to our 20 if I did the math correct, right? So then I would go ahead and view the results. And what happens is you get a bar that's produced showing the number of students that met the outcome and the number that did not meet the outcome. And so based on that, what you can do is say that the outcome was met, just write a brief analysis of how the outcome was met, and then you can save and close that information, and then you can go ahead and submit it. And so that would be your assessment report. So before I continue, I just want to make sure if anybody in the audience has any questions on that. Senator Dolce, you're new to the system. Does that make sense how I did my plan and my report?
Yes.
Awesome. And so then, this is due March 15th. Between March 15th and April 15th, the person, is the liaison for the department, would go ahead and send out the assessment results to faculty in the area. They would discuss and review the results of the assessment, and then they would come up with a plan. And so the next thing that has to happen is to create an action plan by April 15th. So you can go ahead and click on the detail. And so then based on the results of the assessment, what could be done to improve student learning? So since this was met, what we could do is add a new action. And so generally, if an assessment was met, what we like to do is maintain the assessment strategy. And then I would add a description of what we would do. and then we would reassess that during the next cycle. So if it's a course assessment, remember, according to the new processes, all courses are going to be assessed over a 3-year period. So right now, for our general chemistry courses, we're in year 2. So then year 3 would be the remainder of our chemistry courses. Year 1 would start the cycle again, and then the second year we would reassess these outcomes for the specific course. So we'd go ahead and, I'm just going to say, we would continue to assess outcome. And I'm just writing this in so it allows me to create an action. And so that is my assessment strategy. And then I'll go ahead and save it. I'll review and submit it. I'll submit it. And then what happens is for Chem 110, you see that this has been submitted. You can go ahead and pull up your report, which gives the plan. It'll show the benchmark, and it'll show the action that we did. And so again, program information would essentially be the same thing. You would create your plan, you'd enter your results, and you would come up with an action plan. So any questions on that? Okay, so what I want to do is go back and show you examples of stuff that we did complete in the past for chemistry, just so you can see how a completed report is going to go ahead and look. So I'm going to go into the 2023-2024 course level assessments for chemistry. And so now this is more accurate information. So during the first year of our 3-year plan, we assessed these 3 courses for chemistry. And so let's go ahead and click on 132. That's our elementary organic chemistry course. I'll use that as an example. And so we assessed each of our course level outcomes for this specific course. And you could see that, for example, course level outcome number 1 was met. And so our action was to maintain our assessment strategy. I also went ahead and expanded this to another action. And what my other action said is we're going to adopt or expand technology. So it's part of an OER grant, an Open Education Resource Grant that our chemistry area received last year. So we were at the time in the process of writing labs for the course. And so a dry lab activity using a 3D printer will be created to address structure and bonding, which is this course level outcome. So we're going to reassess this again during the next assessment cycle to see how that dry lab, actually either improved or maybe did not improve the assessment. Even though it was met, we still included another strategy. And so course level outcome 2 on naming was actually not met, okay? So based on the results of the assessment, 80% of students taking the assessment did not score an 80% or better. And so what we had to do then for our action is adopt or expand technologies. And what we did based on this was we created a dry lab activity and other materials and worksheets pertaining to nomenclature. And so during the next assessment cycle, we're going to reassess that outcome to see if what we created actually improved the assessments. And then course level outcome 3, understanding reactions and their application to organic synthesis. So this outcome was met. And then our assessment strategy we're going to maintain. And then going down to course level outcome number 4, this is on laboratory techniques. This was also met, and we'll continue to assess this outcome for future exams. So that's how a report would actually look once you finish it. So any questions specifically on that?
For the exam that you used, was it one exam or was it multiple exams?
So for this one over here, and I'll download what I looked at.
Okay.
So this was the specific exam I used, and essentially, when I did my assessment, it said which question the outcome was on.
Okay.
So that's how I did it. Now, if you want to use multiple exams, one for each outcome, I mean, that would be doable as well too.
Okay.
But it's important to specify like which specific outcome the question is linked to.
Thank you.
And so Let me go back to the 132 again. Yep, so this says right here, which questions the outcome was assessed. So for example,
Okay.
outcome 1 was assessed on questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12. Outcome 2 was assessed on questions 6, 7, and 8, etc. So that's how we do it in chemistry, and everybody may do it a little bit differently. Any other questions? Anything else you would like me to go over? And so I am speaking to live audience right now. For those that this is being recorded for, if you do have any questions on this process, feel free to email me anytime. I'm always here to help. I can schedule an appointment to sit down with you to help you enter your assessment information or to go over, watermark with you as well. Now, once again, I do want to draw you back to the assessment committee's Blackboard, or website rather, and there is a training on how to enter information into watermark. So if you click under important links and go down to the third link, if you click on this, it's about a 50-minute presentation that goes over the same information that I did, possibly in a little bit more detail. Okay, so again, please keep in touch if you have any questions. We're always here to help. Other than that, I hope you found this training useful. And like I said, stay in touch.